This series has taken very much longer than it was intended to. Let me let you in on the plan here. The original plan was to actually start this kind of the week before the championship race. That obviously didn't happen. I don't think it started until like November. Well, I mean, obviously the championship race is in November, but I think it's like after Thanksgiving when I started this series, maybe December even. And so that's when the series started. But then I was like, all right, so I'm just gonna kind of rush through these first little bits, try, but try and get these out, once and twice a week. So then by the middle to beginning of January, I can start making my previews. Well, here we are, January 26th. This is being recorded. This is probably coming out the 28th, I think, because I'm gonna have it the day after the Eric Jones video. So. And we are just now finishing the series, the review series, and in just 2 short weeks it will be time for Daytona, which I'm excited for, of course. But yeah, I was expecting to be long gone done at this series by now, but you know me, I love dragging out series, taking a while to finish them. But I will be having kind of the previews that I was planning on doing, but it'll be just one preview and kind of forced and not forced, but quick, and I'm not going to be able to go into much detail of every team. But this is a really long intro. Like, we're at 2 minutes, so let's go ahead and roll the intro. What? That's kind of weird to say.
Lesson from the brain, seeing the beauty through the.
What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the video, and today we are going to be talking about Joe Gibbs Racing, every team's favorite team. I mean, if you don't like Joe Gibbs, I don't know what you're talking about. You're just crazy. I'm just kidding. I don't really like Joe Gibbs either. But shout out to Martin Truex Jr. because I've always liked him. But if you guys do enjoy, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and comment down below your guys' thoughts. And this is going to be a long video ahead of us, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut right to the chase. Now, if you remember last season, Denny Hamlin in 2018, I mean by that, it's not last season anymore because we're about to start a new one, but Denny Hamlin had kind of a off year. He did not win a race. He barely scratched his way into playoffs and was able to scrounge up an 11th place win. Surprisingly, a lot of people saw that as, I don't think people thought he would repeat that, but I think a lot of people saw that as, he's not going to be the same old Denny Hamlin. He's not going to be that same Denny Hamlin that I believe won 8 races one year, and was a championship contender. This might be the beginning of his regression, and I thought he was younger than he is. He's actually 39 going into this season, so he is kind of to the tail end of his career, but I mean, obviously that doesn't really mean anything as for performance, and he proved that this season, notching 6 wins, 24 top 10s, and 19 top 5s. Like how I jumped around the stats there. He finished 4th in the point standings and an average finish of 9.5. Now, a lot of people, and I agree with this, as the season went on and he was, getting better and better, a lot of people were saying this is a make or break season for his career. Now, that's not Hall of Fame wise. Well, maybe if the Hall of Fame was more stricter, it would be, but the Hall of Fame, if I went in there and won a race, I might get in. I'm just kidding, obviously, because I won't go into the Cup Series and never win a race, but yeah. Anyway, so as I was saying, Denny Hamlin, this was a make or break year. This is probably, a lot of people considered his best chance at winning a championship. He's in the best equipment, seems to be not making the same mistakes he's made in his previous attempts to win the championship, and it looked like his best shot, and it looked like he would. He was considered a favorite going into Homestead, I would say, over that of Kyle Busch, and it was really the debate. I don't think anybody was debating Kyle Busch or Martin Truex. It was really between Denny Hamlin and MTJ. But like I said, if you look at his, career and how it's played out, I think, assuming he does not get a championship, which is very possible that he could, if he finishes his career without a championship, I think he goes up into that, category with Carl Edwards and Mark Martin as one of the greatest drivers to never win a championship. Me and Chenry have had debates on who that person may be, but let's just say Denny Hamlin is added to that conversation. I think if you look at all their stats, they're comparable, except Mark Martin's been in it for a very long time, so obviously his stats are a little more inflated than that of Carl and Denny Hamlin. But I think, assuming Denny Hamlin doesn't win a championship, but which, like I said, is possible that he does, I think he will go down as the top 3 along with Carl and Mark, and I'm sure there's other guys in there that I'm not mentioning, but that to me is in my opinion, two of the greatest drivers not to win a championship. There's obviously other ones up there, but Denny Hamlin, I think, is added into that conversation for the greatest driver not to win a championship. But hopefully in these last couple of years he's able to get one out. It'd be I'm not going to complain. Denny Hamlin is a driver that I never really liked, and I don't know if I necessarily still do, but I've at least earned a respect for him. And that's weird to say as a Chase Elliott fan. I'm sure a lot of Chase Elliott fans hate him, but I'm not usually the type of guy to hold grudges unless you're Kyle Busch, because he's still that way. So I don't know. I mean, I don't even hate Kyle Busch. I don't hate anybody who hates a strong word. So that's all I got to say about Denny Hamlin. Very great year from him, and I don't know. We'll just have to see how his legacy plays out. Next up, Martin Truex Jr. Now, he was my championship pick, and not necessarily going into the playoffs. I had him up there with Denny Hamlin, but that beginning of the playoffs just really, for me, separated him from Denny Hamlin, where he won at Richmond and I believe it was Las Vegas. Went and won those 2 races, and he just seemed to be hot, and he seemed to be the guy. I mean, he had a great season, and yeah. So, anyways, I do realize this picture is, I believe, from that picture is from the '78 team. Disregard that, but here are his 2019 stats. He finished 2nd in the points, which we'll get into in just a second. Had an average finish of 9.8 and 24 top 10s, 15 top 5s, and 7 wins on the season. You're welcome. I did it in order. Obviously, great stats there, and really similar to that of the season prior with the big 3 in 2018. It's nice to see, somebody at Martin Truex who nobody would have seen having as much success as he is. I think a lot of people did kind of see him regressing this year, and he didn't do that. He got, I wouldn't say he improved, but he did just about the same as last year. So yeah, and this year is really going to be the question mark year without Cole Pern. Will he be able to perform? I do see a dip in performance, but I still see him being a playoff, and obviously playoff and probably a championship contender. But this may be the year that he falls out of that Final Four. Maybe somebody edges him out of there. But again, I don't see an insane dip in performance, but I don't think you'll be seeing 7 wins, 15 top 5s, or 24 top 10s. I think we will see a dip in that aspect. And I do want to talk about what happened in that championship race, because I don't understand how, I don't think throughout the season, I can't remember too many instances. Obviously, every pit crew has their mistakes, but I don't remember too many instances throughout the season where, Truex's pit crew messed up that bad. I'm not going to act like I know every instance of every pit crew incident that happens, but I cannot remember in the nearly decade with the 2 years that I didn't watch in between. I can't remember anybody turning the wheel, putting the wheels on the wrong side. It happens. Mistakes happen. I would probably do it. Honestly, if you asked me to put right side tire on the right side, I might not know which. I probably wouldn't know which one's right. But for a pit crew, it's very unheard of. And in the championship race, it's just I hate to. I don't want to get in on the pit crew because mistakes happen, but wow. That's just really unfortunate because Martin Truex had the fastest car on that track. There's not too much debate on it. He was still gaining on Kyle Busch and could have won that championship if he had a couple more laps. It's just very unfortunate that it had to come to that. And I think Martin Truex was really, I think Iceberg, if you're watching this, which you're probably not, but if you're watching this, Iceberg, make a missing rings on Martin Truex, because in my opinion, he had a better season than Kyle Busch, and he also had the better car at Homestead. but just did not get it. So that's not my place to do the missing rings video. Iceberg, I don't think he's done one yet. Please do a missing rings Martin Truex 2019, because that is, I mean, it's very true. And now for the moment you guys have been waiting for, everybody's favorite driver, Kyle Busch. Obviously he finished first because, you know, he won the championship. He had an average finish of 8.9, 27 top 10s, 17 top 5s, and 5 wins on the season. But like I said earlier, I think Martin Truex had a better season. Now, hear me out. Now, Kyle started the season off with an historic run, almost breaking, I'm not sure whose record, but a record for the most top 10s to start out a season. It was cut short at Kansas. I believe it was tied actually at Kansas, or before Kansas, and then he got a tire rub, which ended his, didn't end his day, but ended his top 10 day, and ended his top 10 streak. But definitely a historic run to start off the season. But I mean, Kyle Busch wasn't the championship favorite for the first time in a long time. I mean, obviously he was considered, he was a contender by every stretch of the imagination, but he was not the favorite. The favorites were Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex, who had respectively had better playoffs than Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch had a great playoff. Obviously, he made the Final Four. You have to have a great playoff in order to do that. Well, not necessarily with the playoff points now. Kyle Busch did kind of have a couple off races and never sweated getting into the Final Four, but that's not the point for this video. But there were some points in this season where he would just, I mean, he's running top 10, don't get me wrong, for pretty much the entire season, but he wasn't dominating like we're used to seeing Kyle Busch do, which was refreshing, of course, but different. We're used to Kyle Busch, if he doesn't win every race, he's at least has his fingerprint on every race. But there were races that he was just silent in the top 15 to top 10 all day and never was able to capture that lead. Now, granted, these were a handful of races. They weren't every single race. Most of the races he was competing for, and we're like, oh, come on, Kyle. But there were races where, like, where's Kyle? I was like, where's Kyle at? Like, why isn't he up here? Like, like last year, every single race, you know, he had the lead at some point. Probably, it felt like every race he had something to do with the lead, and that wasn't the case this year. There were, like I said, a handful of races where he wasn't that guy, and whether that be because of the new package, whether that be, you know, maybe he's not, and he's in his prime, but I don't know. That's really all I gotta say on that. Different opinions and stuff like that, but lastly, I do want to say that a lot of people do seem to think that Kyle Busch was the favorite going into Homestead, but in my opinion, that wasn't the case. I think the main debate was Denny Hamlin versus Martin Truex, because, like I said, respectfully, they had great playoffs throughout. They just were hot throughout the entire playoffs. So mostly the consensus was that was going to be the championship battle. That didn't become the case because I don't know what happened to Hamlin. He just kind of died. But Truex and Busch ended up being the championship battle, which we would have liked to see, like an actual like on-track battle, like with cars, of course, not like fighting each other. But that would have been kind of nice. But you know, Truex and Busch were the two front runners. Harvick and Hamlin just fell off, and yeah. But Kyle Busch, it was like he was up here at the beginning of the season, and now he's like here. He just didn't have, and it's hard to compare his last season to this season. Obviously, at some point he has to dip down from the dominance he's been havocing, if I could speak, over NASCAR the past couple of years. There had to be a point where, yeah, he still had a great season, but it wasn't as dominant as the season before that. So that's really what this is. It's just, you know, he can't maintain the dominance he's had over the sport for so long, and I expect him to have probably even a better season next year. But I just wanted to point out that I feel like he wasn't the championship favorite for the first time in a long time. I felt like the debate, like I said, was between Truex and Hamlin. But that's all I got for today. Make sure to comment down below if you guys agree or disagree with me. Let me know why. Make sure you leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and comment down below all your guys' thoughts, like I just said. So before I mess up the outro, I just want to say peace out.